Hello everyone, this is Zweistein and this is going to be another Fleet Ops video tutorial. Today I'll be showing you the quantity Akira rush, the one that I talked about in my video quite a while ago now. I do apologize for the short hiatus, but I will now show you the second Akira rush. My opponent for today is once again my cousin Samuel, and we are playing on Convergence. It is, I think it is this is the final tournament map that I have not shown out yet. So what will we be doing? An Akira rush once again, but this one, instead of going for fewer Akiras with defensive patterns, we're going to build more Akiras. What maps this is good on? Similar to the other Akira rush, this is a tech rush. We're gonna have fewer ships, at least initially, so we're going to need a little bit of a setup time, so we need bigger maps where distance from the opponent is greater. Now this map is okay, but unfortunately my natural expansion is towards the middle and my opponent starts over here. We have preset our starting position, so you will see me actually expand up to over here just so I don't get my shipyard blown up as I'm teching. Now what game type? As with the other Akira rush, this is doable in a 1v1 situation, but is much better performed in a team game, 2v2 and up. And which avatar this is good for? Finally, Reasoner. I'd say just Reasoner. You can try to do it with Mason, but the fact is this strategy, the way we perform it, leaves us with exactly 0 dilithium by the time we start building the second Akira at our expansion. So if we go Mason, our chassis level 2 costs 200 dilithium more, which means our expansion Akira is actually going to be late, and we don't want to be late with this build because we are already late. Now, how exactly are we going to execute this build? It's fairly simple. Actually, we start with Dillithium, we build Starfleet Engineering over here, we build Tritanium, and then with this construction ship, or rather this construction ship is now going to be over here, we expand, we immediately expand, and as we're expanding we also grab one of our dilithium miners, which we're going to have 3 by that time, so we're gonna grab one of our dilithium miners and we're going to transfer it to the expansion with the construction ship. This is because we're not going to have enough dilithium to fully saturate the dilithium moon at the expansion, and the third miner on the same moon is not as efficient as the second miner on the same moon. So it turns out this strategy can work, but only if you transfer one of the miners to the expansion. So you have 2 dilithium miners per moon at 2 moons, one in your base and one at your expansion. So once we're at our dilithium moon over here and we have our dilithium up and running, we're going to build a shipyard both in our main base and at our expansion. With at that time our chassis level 2 should be completed, or just about done. At the second our chassis level 2 is done and we have both of our shipyards operational, In the previous game when I tried this out, our chassis level 2 was actually done a bit earlier than we had our expansion shipyard operational. The second those are done, we're going to queue up two Akiras. One in the at the expansion, one at the main base. And then when those two Akiras are finished, we're going to queue up two more Akiras, or rather we're going to queue up four Akiras overall. And only when the third and the fourth Akiras are being completed is when we're going to build one miner and send that off to our Dillithium moon. And then when the fifth and sixth Akira are building, only then will we build the second miner and send it to our expansion Dillithium moon. That is because Akiras are very expensive on the Dillithium, and as you will notice during the course of the game, if we don't get raided, we're going to have just enough dilithium to continuously produce Akiras. This unfortunately also means that once we have our production operational, we will not be able to grab any other tech unless we either wait a very very long time, because I think if I have this figured out correctly, you store up about 50 dilithium to 100 dilithium per 2 Akiras, which is very little, which means it takes a lot of Akiras before you can afford another structure. So if you want to continuously produce, that is, so what is better is if you're ahead and you figure out you don't need more Akiras, it's better to pause one of your shipyards and grab tech that way and then unpause it after. Anyway, with that I have basically covered the basics. We have forward expanding with this build. Yes, you are theoretically building two shipyards as you are with the double shipyard standard opener, but you are going to have your ships, they are going to be late because you're taking up, so it's not wise being cheeky and grabbing, for example, this middle expansion or the expansion between our bases, because we're not going to have the means to defend it, and if we do build a turret over here, that's going to delay one of our Akiras. Especially if we want to upgrade it, that's an upgrade to a turret, especially since we're Reasoner and pulse turrets are not going to be as effective. That costs one Akira roughly, so it's not wise being cheeky and forward expanding, because we're not going to be able to hold it. Alright, let us see if my cousin is ready. Okay, he is. Right, and we pick Reasoner. Set up the priorities. As you'll see, in cases where I'm teching, I will order the construction of a Dillithium first. That's just because you tend to be a little bit more limited on resources, but it shouldn't matter if you went for Starfleet Engineering and Dillithium second, because you see that this this construction ship is still traveling. So, 4 freighters, our enemy is over here.
Follow my lead. Alter course. Entering coordinates. Fire up the engine.
Now, I do have the advantage of knowing what he's going to build, because he's been asking me questions about his build. He's going for the early warpins opener, which is okay. It's actually the early warpins opener could be quite dangerous for us if he performs it well. A warpin rush could potentially kill us if he went for that. That is because early warpins come with Excelsiors, and Excelsiors Mark 1 have autonomous defense AI, which means they take reduced damage from the they take reduced damage from, actually I'm gonna send it up, from medium range. I'm sorry. Yeah, Excelsiors take once again reduced damage from medium range. I have decided to send this constructor up before I get the Tritanium going. That's because the Tritanium is not going to be an issue. And with this build, I not started? Oh, should have started that immediately. I just wasted some time. See, he's getting chassis level 1 before me now. This is okay. Accidents happen. Yeah, as you can see, the travel time up to the expansion is quite long, so I've opted to grab Tritanium second and expand first. Now the moon should be somewhere around here. Okay, there it is. Okay, as you can see, we have now saturated the Tritanium and we're grabbing chassis level 2. Meanwhile, this ship can build a shipyard. The shipyard is going to be idle for a little bit, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem. He is not mining Tritanium. Is he warping rushing? That would be unfortunate for us. But he's done this. He could be warping rushing. He doesn't have. Oh, here. I think he's warping rushing. Okay, I'm not seeing Starfleet Science yet. Okay, let's grab our expansion. As you can see, it doesn't matter as much because chassis level 2 is still not done, so he is warping rushing. Well, we get to see how this works against our hard counter. If he warping rushes like up here, where we're not gonna have an Akira to defend it, this could slow us down significantly. Warping rushes are extremely powerful in a 1v1 situation. Okay, with that going, we can now queue up Akiras, please, and quickly. And as you can see, like, we can't start production yet. Just now we started. As you can see, this is really down to the razor's edge, like down to the hair. That doesn't make sense in English because that's a Slavic expression. I apologize. It's like we barely have enough dilithium to start producing that second Akira, and we're about to have a great time with the warpins when those hits. I am a bit worried, I must say. Hello, Monsoon. And if he gets a second Monsoon going, well, as long as he's poking and staying in here, it's not as much of a problem because it means that he's not poking this, but he could quite easily be poking this, and that would mean that we have slowed down. That would mean that our Akira production gets slowed down. Now, one thing to be careful here is 1000 resources. why aren't I building anything? And this is why. Because 1000 dilithium, he's built mining Tritanium from his expansion, so he is going for early warpins, or I don't know. Let's just hit that. Let's try to keep him off balance, force him to warp into over here to do a defensive warpin rather than be fully offensive with it, because that would hurt. I do apologize for the lag. I hope I don't get like any more satanic possessions. I don't know what that was. It was a weird bug with fraps. I should probably listen to people who are telling me to grab OBS, but I know fraps is convenient. I know how to work with it. Okay, we have now built 2 Akiras with 2 on the way, and we can afford a single freighter. Okay. As you can see, he has a numerical advantage. There's 3 monsoons on the way to deal with our little attack. But I don't think they can stop us before we can stop this constructor. Weird lag. He might finish that, but he's definitely going to pay for it with his constructor. No, we managed to cancel that. Now let's send you to repair. These guys are faster. His 3rd monsoon is just sitting here. Just have forgotten about it. Now if you're not going to pursue me, I might as well stay here. Okay, we have forced him to retreat now. 2 monsoons cannot win against 2 Akiras, and that's the strength of the Akira rush, especially this one. As you can see, we now have 4 Akiras. He has 2 monsoons. Well, he has 4 monsoons actually, but those will not be enough.
Entering coordinates. Follow my lead. Entering coordinates.
Unable to comply.
And I think he's gotten something wrong. I'm not seeing Starfleet command yet, and without it we are at a severe advantage. So yes, as you can see, as soon as this one pops out, let's build another miner. And this one, oh, that's why we can't afford it yet, because I was stupid and forgot to put this one to work. And let's head back. They seem to not be bothered by our scout. He's definitely losing this now, and this will hurt him. Once again, 4 monsoons versus 4 Akiras is not going to end well. Yes, he's forcing me to retreat with this one. I might even lose it, but he's definitely losing his ships as well. And if he loses 4 monsoons for 1 Akira, I'll take that trade. Okay, this one is finished. We can send it to our expansion. As you can see, he just does not have the numbers. He screwed something up. His Starfleet command is coming up only now. He has never built his Tritanium refinery because he I don't know. There were mistakes were made. I think he tried to both go for early warpins and a warping rush. He mixed up the two builds, and that's why his Starfleet command is this late. He should have retreated here though. Don't fight a losing fight. Ships are valuable. Like, you can lose an expansion as long as you have ships to hold the enemy fleet at bay. Now let me just regroup. I'm feeling somewhat confident now. He has lost a lot of ships. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab Starfleet Science, if I can place it. Going to grab Starfleet Science and start working towards those defensive patterns to seal the deal. He's placed it all the way over here. That's way outside the range of the starbase. So since we now have numerical superiority over him, and right, let's put you out of team 2, otherwise you're going to fly past the starbase to attack this thing. Oh, hello. Free constructor, I'll take that. Unfortunately for you, Mr. Galaxy Class, you are an obsolete ship in this fight. You're by no means... You are by no means weak ship, but obsolete, and this will cost him dearly. By the way, this is the way you deal with warpins. Warpins are rather fragile, and they cost a lot of supply. Right, let's get out of starbase range. See, it was worth tanking that starbase just so we could kill that nebula. And now, before he gets chance to build more, let's go and blow up. Oh, free Excelsior. Let's blow up that. As you can see, the Excelsior is taking on 5 Akiras and is not really caring too much. Now, right, let's repair. Let's build defensive patterns. Now, since he's not attacking me and I have enough Tritanium, I'm not grabbing that second Tritanium. But I definitely could if I felt the need to. As you can see, we are now a bit short on it. Okay, he's trying to long distance mine. Actually, we have quite a few Akiras waiting for us over here. Let's regroup. Yes, he still needs to learn when to retreat. Let's see, 3 Akiras are probably not going to be enough to really endanger the warping station, the Starfleet command, but well, he doesn't have many ships going for him, so we could potentially still take it out. It's just gonna take a bit longer, and he will probably be able to deal with it. Let's kill his Tritanium. By the way, if you're wondering how I'm doing the waypoints, by default you do this with tab. I have rebound mine to shift. The way you rebind controls in fleet operations is you use the good old Notepad++, and you open there's a file in the folder, I forgot what it was called now, but you can open it and then manually change which key presses do do which commands. As you can see, we have now outnumbered him. We are taking out his Starfleet command quickly before he can send in another warpin. I think this is dead. Yep. And yeah, this is GG now. With defensive patterns, our fleet does have enough. He with defensive patterns, our fleet does have enough firepower and enough health to even take on the starbase. Let's not be stupid. He can still produce ships. Let's go kill his shipyard first, though we will have to do that in the embrace of the starbase, because he built it right next to the starbase. Right? Do you have defensive patterns? Yes. Let's see if he's expanded up here. I doubt it, but he might have. Defensive patterns. So yeah, what was his mistake? Well, he botched up the build a little bit. So, yeah, that was unnecessary loss. He botched up the build a little bit, and what happened was his warpins were as late as if he had gone. No, he upgraded his starbase. Good, he learned that. His build was as slow as if he had gone early warpins, but he had the same economy as if he had rushed warpins. We're taking a beating here, but we're still managed to breach the shields. He doesn't have enough Tritanium, definitely, to upgrade the armor, no, the defensive, the shields and the defense. Only offense. Okay, this is it. So with that mistake, he's like he didn't have his ships early enough, and by the time he did get his 5 ships, the ones from warpins, he had already wasted a couple of ships fighting our Akiras, which definitely wasn't good, and he's decommissioning. He had already wasted a couple of ships fighting our Akiras, and the ships came in too late to be of a significant impact. So yeah, all in all, what ruined him were beginner mistakes. His build was solid, and as you heard back there at the beginning of the video, I was quite worried. Hello, angry, aggressive scout. Let's just poke. I was quite worried if he had done a proper warping rush This probably burns your eyes seeing all these Akiras standing here, but at this point it doesn't really matter. Let's give him the GG. He doesn't understand what GG is, because he doesn't speak English too well. Ah, this shipyard is done producing, but doesn't matter. I've really let go of my micro and macro. Ah, and hey, Zweistein here. Just a quick post video update because that video turned into word salad afterwards. I got interrupted and I just couldn't get a normal word out of me anymore. Anyway, what I was trying to convey at the very end was the strategies I have posted until now. So Akira Rush, both kinds, and the standard openers, early warpins, double shipyards, and the warpin rush. These are your bread and butter strategies that can work in any environment, and they can be pulled off in 1v1s. But I still have about 3 more strategies that I'm thinking of doing. I can't say if I will or when I will. Basically, the Saber Rush, the Excelsior Rush, by that I mean Excelsior 2 of course, and the so-called economic opening that many people try to use in team games. These strategies I will see when I make video on them, but they aren't as easy as the ones I've showed you until now, and definitely aren't viable for 1v1, at least not nearly as much as the current ones were. Anyway, thank you for watching, and Zweistein out.